What Do We Do? A podcast discussing wealth management and financial planning, introducing listeners to the leaders in our community. Hosted by the founder and CEO of Great Lakes Wealth, Dewey Steffen, alongside WWJ Midday News anchor, Brooke Allen.
Hey, I'm Brooke Allen. Our goal with the What Do We Do podcast is to educate listeners on topics that impact your financial growth, your retirement, and your lifestyle.
And I'm Dewey Steffen. Join us twice a month as we welcome some of today's leaders in the community for conversations that can help with investment decisions so you can plan for and live your best life.
Here's Dewey Steffen alongside Brooke Allen.
Hey, I'm Brooke Allen. Thank you so much for being with us on the What Do We Do podcast. We are just rocking and rolling, of course. This is season 2, episode 6, number 48. So thank you for being with us. And of course, as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and just share away with the What Do We Do podcast, because we try to be relevant to the times, to the community. And Dewey Steffen, that is exactly our mission.
Brooke, it's great to see you. That is our mission, right? Our mission is to help the community. Our mission is to share what we know with the community. Absolutely. So all of you YouTube viewers, podcast listeners, absolutely please download, share, subscribe. We're all one big community, and we're going to have another awesome episode today. Did you say number 48?
I did.
Holy moly. Well, I'm fired up to be here. Thank you for being here as well. And what are we going to talk about today?
Well, you know what? Inflation is through the roof, right? And the holidays are right around the corner. So how do we kind of navigate our way through this when everything is costing so much?
Inflation. What is it, right? Does anybody even know? Does anybody care? They talk about inflation all the time. Are you kidding me? This year, inflation is through the roof, like you said. And we need to discuss it. Absolutely. Inflation talks about the price of goods, right? The price of goods sold. And we have a technical name for inflation, and that is CPI, Consumer Price Index. So we have a lot to talk about as it relates to inflation for sure. And then as we go through it, we'll talk about ways to combat it, ways to defeat it, and then also...
How about ways to avoid it?
I don't know if you can avoid it.
I don't think so.
I don't know either, but we will talk about, since the holidays are here, and if inflation means the price of goods sold, that means that the price you would pay for things at the holidays, and whether that's the food at your table, the gifts that you give, whatever else, you need to make sure that you do the best you can. So we have another top 11 list of things to do.
We love our list. Yes.
Absolutely. Why give a top 10 list when you can give a top 11 list of things to do to combat inflation via spending habits? So we'll talk about that in the second half of the show, but maybe we start with just understanding what inflation is and sharing that with our audience today.
Okay, so put it in, you're the expert, so put it in layman's terms. I mean, I know when I fill up my car, it's more expensive. So, and I know when I'm grocery shopping, everything seems more expensive. So tell me, is this true?
So absolutely, it is in many fronts. There are a few actually we'll talk about also that prices actually come down. There's deflation. How about that one? But I digress. Inflation is everywhere. It's run amok. And so as you would say, the easiest one to understand and analyze is at the pump. Gas was maybe $2 a gallon a year ago, and now it's $3 per gallon. That's a 50% increase. 50. And so has lumber, so has food, so has basically every category. And so we measure that in economic terms through what we call inflation or Consumer Price Index, which the initials CPI, and it comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So this is a calculation that is always evaluated because it's an important part of economic prosperity or just understanding where we are. Make some sense?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So with the CPI, there is a host of categories. We've said in past episodes about the S&P 500, right, and there's 11 sectors of the S&P. Well, there's more than 11 sectors of the CPI indices calculations, but I'm going to give you the 8 major groups, and they would be housing, apparel, transportation, food and beverage, education and communication, medical care, recreation, and then other goods and services. Pretty broad calculation, but that would be including energy, which is a big one. So those major 8 groups, you can just see how were prices last year, how are prices this year. I think everyone just knows the word inflation, but no one really knows what it means. And I believe this to be because the last 5 years, from 2016 to 2021, every single year, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020, inflation was under 3%. Most of those years, it was under 2% or right at 2%. So 2% inflation, hey, what does that mean? I don't know. Something was $1 last year. It's $1.02 this year. Something was $100 last year. That means it might cost $102 this year.
Not a big difference.
Not a big difference. In pre-pandemic, most of us would get CPI or cost of living adjustment raises at work, and they might have been 3 or 4%. So you get a cost of living adjustment of 3%, and maybe inflation's 2%. You're 1% above. So things are different now. The inflation rate, as measured by CPI, is 5.4%. 5.4%. It was 2.1% last year. And actually post-COVID, it was 1.4% last year. So 1.4 to 5.4, that's basically a triple. Wow. So inflation has gone up 3x. And I don't know about you, but my pay did not go up 3x.
Correct.
Okay?
Yes.
So that's a very serious reality.
Because it's like this, right? Inflation and pay and...
well, usually what happens is you have, yes, inflation goes up, pay goes up, everything kind of goes lockstep.
And adjust.
And adjusts, right? They would say adjust for inflation, right. Adjust for things. Absolutely. So in the past, though, your wages went up, everything else went up. Money in the bank paid more than 3%. Investments in the stock market might pay 8%. You might have real estate or wherever else that pays 8% or 10%. So you were doing well no matter where your money was. Mm-hmm. But now 5.4% on inflation is the highest going back to 2008 levels. This cannot be stressed enough. This is crazy, and you need to understand how it will impact you as a family, you as a person, you as a business owner, etc. So with that, we think there are 2 ways to fight inflation. One is by investing differently, and we'll talk about that. It's very important. And you also can change your spending habits. You can also change what you do. What do we do to survive and then thrive when the prices of goods are going up? So with that, any questions or comments about what I've said so far?
Okay, so inflation, obviously everything's going up, and you mentioned investments to try to combat that or at least get through it, right? So where do you start? I mean, do you switch all your investments around knowing that inflation could go even higher or it may drop?
Yeah, great question. So first we need to start with where we are. And so you need to figure out where is your money now and what do you expect it to do? What is the expected rate of return on what you currently have? And that would go to your home. How much is your home worth now? What do you think it's going to go up to? Is it going to go up or go down? Back that up to money in the bank. Money in the bank typically pays decent interest. Maybe in the past you could get 2 or 3% interest on your money in the bank.
Not anymore.
So not anymore. You get 0.
Right.
0. Zip. Zilch, nada. And so if you are getting 0, zilch, nada on your money in the bank and cost of goods are going up 5.4% on average, that means that you're losing money. We call CDs these days certificates of depreciation. They used to be certificates of deposit, but now with taxes and inflation, you are losing your purchasing power. And this is very significant. Take $100, turn it into $1,000, turn it into $100,000, turn it to $1 million. Do the math. If you're getting 0 in the bank, and actually the average bank 1-year CD is 0.15. So on $100,000, you would get a whopping $150 in interest. But if something that costs $100,000 has inflation on par, then that thing that's $100,000 will cost you $105,400. And so you're going to be going backwards. Multiply that out by year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. So we're in a very significant situation. I can't stress it enough. The Federal Reserve has said that this might just be transitory, which means short term. As a rebound from COVID, I'm not so sure. I think it's here to stay. So we need to understand how you can invest your money to do better than 0.15 in the bank if everything else around you is going to be costing more than 5% more year over year. Make some sense?
It does. Okay, so good investments, bad investments, they're all out there.
Yes. So you have, again, stocks, bonds, cash, and alternatives are those broad categories along with real estate. And so in the past, you might have a 60-40 mix of stocks and bonds. Well, we know bonds don't pay much interest right now. We know that bonds have very little interest at all. And so not related to today's show, but we also believe that to combat inflation, the Fed may start to raise rates. So if interest rates do go up, that means the price of your current bonds actually goes down. So for two reasons, we say that if you have a bunch of bonds in your portfolio now, you need to address that. You need to review that and talk to your financial professional and get an opinion to make sure that what you have is what you should have for the rest of this year and into 2022. So anything that has to do with interest rates, and whether that's a bank or your investments in bonds, you need to be very, very careful going forward. And then again, you need to find investments, and Brooke, we have some, that will do well and are what are known as hedges against inflation. So we'll talk about those as well.
Okay, so you mentioned interest rates, and it's just so curious because interest rates were super low. And can you just speak to how much interest rates affect everything?
Sure. That's very easy for me to do in this podcast. I will write a book and I will teach a class at the university after that. Yes, no, I totally get it. And yes, so I'm going to make it very simple, okay? One of our guys here on staff today actually did a quick analysis, a quick evaluation of different interest rate numbers and how that would affect your money, if you will. And so we found that if you take $100,000, okay, and you kept it in a bank right now at 0.15%, and you compounded it. We've talked in prior episodes about compound interest, and that is the eighth wonder of the world, according to Albert Einstein. But for this exercise, if you compound 0.15%, after 10 years, your 100,000 grows to, what do you think?
Oh, I'm horrible.
100,000. You get $150 a year, compounded with 0.15% interest. What do you think you have after 10 years on that $100,000 you started?
A lot of money.
I'll tell you, not really. 101,510.17. So after 10 years of money in the bank, this is for all of you watching and all of you listening, you would have 101,500. If the interest rate in the bank does not go up from 0.15, you can compound it and have $101,000 10 years later. Does that sound like a good deal?
No.
Heck no. So then if you can find a whopping 3% somewhere, let's see if a financial professional can help you do that. If you can get a whopping 3% per year compounded, what do you think you have on 100 G's?
A decent amount of money.
A decent amount. And it got more than that 0.15. Okay, significantly more. You'd have 134,000 and change. 134,391.64. So you, just 3% versus 0.15, you have $30,000+ more over a decade. Significant, I think.
Yes, very much.
Well, we're not done. We're just getting started. 5%, 100,000, 5% compounded would be 162,800 and change. Okay. 7%. I'm not talking about doubling your money. I'm not talking about hitting that home run. I'm just talking about getting a fair rate of return, whether that's a vehicle like real estate or something else that pays a coupon or a dividend or a diversified portfolio. If you can get 3 or 5, you're doing better than 0.15. But if you can get 7%, the whopping 7, and guess what? The stock market average is 10.
Oh.
100 years, 10%. So we're going to go sub stock market average, just 7%. We want to be conservative around here. So again, please talk to your financial professional and understand what's correct for your situation. But 100,000 at 7% compounded would be 196,000 and change, almost a double. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Fair enough. So even if you don't want to put the whole thing into the stock market, you might want to take the whole thing out of 0.15 and sprinkle it other little places.
But again, you need someone professional to do this, obviously, to help you through this, right?
Well, you either can find a financial professional to help you, or you can certainly do it yourself as long as you understand and do the work. We always say just do the work, but get started. Start now. That's always the step one. So that's a pretty dramatic, I think, start. 100,000 on a table, 100,000 10 years later. 100,000 in a bank at 0.15, a decade later, 101,000. The cost of goods sold, let's use that 5% number. If inflation stays where it is, Brooke, at 5.4%, we're going to be sub that at 5%. So guess what? That 100,000 is only the things that you would buy for 100,000 are going to cost 162,000. So you're going to have a $60,000 shortfall, and then mark that out 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So inflation affects and what we say erodes your purchasing power. Make sense?
It does.
Okay. Most people probably understand taxes, and taxes work the same way. The more they take of your taxes, the less money you got.
Exactly.
Well, in this case, the more that things go up in cost, the less you can buy.
Right.
Right?
But some people don't always do that, right?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, even because inflation is up and people keep spending the way that they're normally accustomed to, and they don't account for those changes, and maybe their spending habits get a little bit bad.
Credit cards.
Yes.
Credit cards.
Maxed out, right?
Debt is dangerous. So no way, Jose. We're not going to advocate for that at all, but people do for sure do that. So we've talked about many times in the last 2 years that right now with the situation that we have, this is the investing landscape of a lifetime. And that has not changed with where the stock market is today or where cryptocurrency is today or where anything else is today. But with interest rates so low, you can restructure your debt. So we always say, as soon as you have money, put 3 to 6 months in a safe account for a rainy day, then go and look at your debt. Service your debt, restructure or retire bad debt. And we say that's absolutely any debt above 8%. We would really say it should be any debt above 5%. So if you have any of those $14.99 or $21.99 credit cards, again, no way, Jose. So that's it. Yes. Okay. You need to live within your means and spend what you have and no more, but ultimately need to save and invest. But saving in the bank is not really going to help you with inflation where it is now.
Okay, but it seems kind of like, I mean, do you think people should panic at this or just kind of take a deep breath and know that it can all be figured out?
I'm going to panic a little bit. Listen, I'm not here to just like walk the line. Like if I go put gas in my car and it cost me $30 and now it's costing me $60, I'm panicked, you know, and it doesn't matter what kind of car you have. When I go get my eggs and they were $2 and now they're $3, I'm a little panicked. I was budgeting for so much to spend per month, per year, and it is out of whack. And so if you have a diversified investment portfolio, then you are blessed with some gains in the market since April 1st of 2020 for sure. But going forward, if you expect those same gains to continue, you're crazy.
Out of touch.
What's a good word? What's a more politically correct word than crazy? You're out of touch with probably reality, or you're setting yourself up for failure, right? So because of that, you need to find things that are either good investments during periods of inflation, or this fancy word, just hedge. Hedge your investments. What are some good hedges against inflation? And there are some. Okay. Right? So I'm happy to go through some of those, and we're going to get people to stay away from things that are bad investments during inflationary periods, and then go towards ones that are good investments during inflationary periods.
Okay. So can I ask you this? So if something is good right now, a good investment during this time, will it always be a good investment?
It depends on what it is. How's that for a politically correct answer? A lot of it actually begins. Please talk to your financial professional. You have to have a plan, right? And a plan is not for the next 3 months. The plan is not even for the next 3 years. Maybe the plan is for the next 30 years, but you always need to review your plan because facts change. And when the facts change, you need to change your plan, right? The Federal Reserve has said that this inflationary period is transitory. It won't last. We have supply shock issues. We have chip shortages, and we have constraints because of the shipping challenges.
Containers, right?
Yes. So hey, once that all gets settled,
we're good.
We're cool. We're back to 2% inflation. I don't buy it.
Okay. If
I'm wrong, hey, you just protected yourself and you got a little extra cushion. But I don't buy it, and we're seeing that it's getting worse, not better. And so along those lines, there are investments that you kind of want to underweight or reduce. And those would be traditional bonds, and also fixed annuities, and also CDs, those certificates of depreciation, as I call them, and even some whole life policies that have these cash value accounts that, again, the interest that you're going to make is not going to keep up with what the inflation rates are. So if you can't keep up, you're going to fall behind. So those are 4 very quick investments that will probably underperform during a period of inflation, which we're seeing now. So be prepared. And again, you can't get all out and all in because there's other reasons why you would hold each of those 4 investments. So actually, I wouldn't really hold any CDs of any size, but traditional bonds, you should always have some. Fixed annuities and whole life, you certainly should consider in certain situations. So again, I'll say it again, talk to your financial professional for a more detailed explanation for your specific situation. However, Brooke, I'm going to give you 6 simple investments. Not complicated, simple investments to help you either thrive during an inflationary time or hedge against loss. Okay. So the first one is a bond, because everyone's like, hey, Dewey, you got to have a little safety, my man. And I'm like, I hear you. So there's this thing called Treasury inflation protected securities. We call them TIPS. And when you go to the restaurant, make sure you tip your bartender and waitstaff for sure. Give them a little extra too, because they're working really hard these days as well. But so TIPS, if you want your money safe and you believe in the government as your insurance of your currency, then you can go from traditional 30-year bonds or 20-year bonds or whatever and go into some TIPS. And so those are, again, the word Treasury inflation protected. So that's what it's for, protecting against inflation. Absolutely. We still don't think that that's going to help you thrive. That's just going to help you survive and hedge. Right? Absolutely. The other one is what people always say, I don't know, are you sure? And that's stocks. Stocks are risky. When there's inflation, that means that things slow down or things cost more, people do less, and so the economy kind of takes a pause or goes backward, and stocks relate to the economy, so stocks go down. And we say, yes, they do, for a short period of time. So when there's a shock to the system, things have to reset. And so we do say that in a period of inflation, you could expect that the stock market may adjust. And we haven't seen that yet. Again, inflation is 5.4% as of September's numbers, and stock market's at an all-time high. So maybe the stock market's going to retrench and come down a little bit. We would understand that. We would expect that. But if it doesn't, you're still going to do better than the bank, because that means it's going up. If it comes down, then take advantage of that opportunity to buy what we'd call buy the dip. Make some sense also? Okay, yeah. And Brooke, I used to tell people all the time, with the stock part of it, it's really simple. If you can't beat them, join them. And what I mean by that is, if gas at the pump is going to go up from $2 a share to $3 a share, why don't you buy stock in the oil company that you're filling up? So when you're there, instead of cussing 4-letter words at the pump, you're like, yeah, I'm a shareholder. A piece of that, right? Yeah, I get a little piece of that action. So very seriously, that is what happens when you buy stocks. You have ownership in these companies, and so if they pass on price increases or they're making profits because of this, well, as a shareholder, give me my money, give me that dividend. So that's a way that, again, you can participate in inflation by having shares or investments in publicly traded companies. Fair enough? Fair enough. Okay. So that's a pretty easy one, but a lot of people don't really want to, they don't know. It freaks them out a little bit. The next one is called real estate. Have you heard of this? I have. Yeah, real estate. It's everywhere. And real estate, or REITs, real estate investment trusts, you can get investments in, and they are also hedges against inflation. It's a real simple concept that when the economy is doing well, housing prices go up. Right? Typically. And if the costs of goods to build a house go up because everything costs more, lumber, all of the components that go into a house, if they go up, well, guess what? The builder's not going to sell it for less than he paid to build it. Right. So he's going to charge increased prices. And so all the other houses in the neighborhood, they will adjust up to that price. Have you heard of this website called Zillow? Oh, yes. Yeah. So you go Zillow around. Comps. Yeah, comps. Comps, neighborhood comps, town comps, city comps, country comps, whatever it is, right? So anyway, yes, with comps, you can see firsthand that, hey, my house has gone up in value, and that's specifically correlated to the price of goods to build that house. So if prices do come down, then you will see your housing prices start to come down as well. And none of this all goes together. This is not 100% in or 100% out. This is why a financial professional can be of assistance, right? Because it's somewhat complicated, and you have to understand: are you looking short-term, medium-term, and long-term? Are you looking at the trees? Or are you looking at the forest? And so that's one, real estate and real estate investment trusts. Okay. Fair enough? Yep. Okay. Another one a lot of people talk about, I certainly subscribe to. Check out some prior podcasts. But lately, I'm not so sure it's working. About gold? Shh, quiet. Gold. Yes, gold. It's always shining bright. Come on. Gold is always shining bright. And it's not.
No.
Gold is down about 8% on the year. So the stock market is up about 15%. Gold's down 8%. And inflation is up 5.4. So what the heck is going on? This gold's
melted. No.
So again, everything is short-term, medium-term, and long-term, and everything kind of can beat to its own drum at a certain time. And there are periods during inflationary times when gold does not act as the hedge it's supposed to. There are times when it has absolutely acted like the hedge that it historically has. So there are a lot of people that are evaluating if gold is going to continue to be the historical hedge against inflation that it has been in the past. I believe it will, but Brooke, there's this other new gold out there. Have you heard of this?
Oh, yes.
What is it?
It's a cryptocurrency.
Digital gold. Come on now. Let's keep up with the times.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, digital gold, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. So, yes. And so Bitcoin has recently surpassed 60,000 US dollars per coin. And so that's an all-time high. And so a lot of people are saying, you know what? I need to diversify, or I need to have other hedges against inflation. And gold might not be that hedge because that's old school.
That's like having AOL.
Well, I'm not going to say that that's true, but I understand the concept. Absolutely. Yes. And I don't have AOL. I have a MSN or a Hotmail.
Right.
And whenever I tell someone younger about that, they look at me and say, seriously? They're still there? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, no, really? They still have that?
Right.
So yes, AOL is old school for sure. MSN and Hotmail might be, I don't even know, middle school.
Right.
Okay. And then Gmail, and who knows if there's some other mail I don't even know about yet. But anyhow, so yes, cryptocurrencies are absolutely currently a hedge against inflation. And just take a look at the returns of these investments that we've talked about versus the rate of inflation. And in the short term, all of them except gold has performed better than that inflation rate. And take a look at bonds, CDs, fixed annuities, and your whole life cash balance. And you have not kept up with 5.4 in some regards, especially the ag bond index. It's minus on the year. So there are a lot of things going on. And if you're not paying attention to inflation and moving your investments around to take advantage of inflation, I mean, listen, don't panic.
Right.
Let's prosper, baby. Just made that up. So really, please talk to your professional. Again, I've said it, and make sure that you are on a path to prosperity for 2022.
Because it can happen.
Absolutely.
Right?
For sure.
I mean, for sure. So it can happen, and there's no reason to panic. Just kind of hang tight and figure out what you need to do. Have a plan.
Yes, because again, things are costing more, whether it's a loaf of bread or gas at the pump or the price of your house. Again, your investments need to be keeping up with the rate of inflation. And if you don't have any extra money, that will go to this next segment, which will be how to spend differently and get better spending habits so you can fight inflation with no money, just with your behavior.
Hey guys, it's Brooke. I want to take a minute to talk to you about Dewey Steffen and his great team at Great Lakes Wealth. Do you feel overwhelmed managing your assets? Well, Great Lakes Wealth offers Wall Street solutions with Main Street values. That is really what they are all about. They will help you develop a custom financial plan utilizing all of your assets and keeping your goals in mind. That is what Great Lakes Wealth is all about, helping you and your family achieve your financial dreams. So go to greatlakeswealth.us to schedule an appointment today and tell them Brooke sent you. Okay, so would that bring us to the wants and needs? Is this when you really need to break it down like that?
Wants and needs. We used to say you have your needs, wants, and wishes.
Right.
And again, as it relates to the holidays, I think you're going to need to make a list, check it twice, find out who's naughty and nice.
Out.
Right? But yes, absolutely. The holidays are fast approaching.
Yes, they are.
Have you heard about this?
I have.
Yes. So next week.
I have kids. Trust me. I've heard about this.
Next week will be Thanksgiving. And again, let's do a real quick sidebar. Brooke, I have so much to be thankful for. I count my blessings every day. Nothing's perfect. I have issues. I have challenges. But I believe my cup is at least half full, if not more. So I am counting my blessings. Next week is Thanksgiving. So I am going to do something right now and give thanks before I talk about, holy moly, now what? And, use some 4-letter words out there
Right.
for what's coming next after Thanksgiving, which is
Christmas, Hanukkah,
yes, the holiday
season, right?
It's here, right? And so as it relates to shopping, you're going to have this thing called Black Friday. Mm-hmm. This other thing called Small Business Saturday.
And then Cyber Monday.
Booyah or boo-hoo?
I think probably a little bit of both.
Right, absolutely. So that is spending, right? And
Right.
last year in season 1, we talked about the details of Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday. So go check out last year's episode if you want to understand the actual economics and how much money is spent and where it goes and how it flows. But this year, we're going to get into just how do you combat inflation when you're going to purchase stuff for your friends and family for the holiday season,
Right.
right?
Oh, yeah.
So we have come up with a list of 11. That's right. What's better than
Always
10?
11.
Always 11.
Always.
One better than a perfect 10 is a perfect 11. We have come up with a list of 11 ways to beat inflation for the holidays with your spending.
Right.
Dun-dun-dun.
It's tough.
We're going to do it.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So I'm going to start by explaining a few things that have had major inflation rate increases, and maybe a few that, maybe they're about the same year over year.
Right.
I used to always say that, and anyone out there, a parent or a child, don't listen to this and take me seriously because it's not appropriate. But do you know how much a 2 liter of Coca-Cola costs? Have you know what
Yes.
what Coca-Cola is?
Yes,
A
of
pop?
course.
Pop
A
soda.
soda.
Right. So listen, the reason I said it's bad. You shouldn't drink it. It's unhealthy. Sorry, Coke. I am a shareholder in your company, but it's got tons of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a healthy choice. Is that fair?
It is.
However, we're all going to have a little pop, soda, Coke, Pepsi once in a while. Is this fair?
It is fair.
Okay. Well, I'm going to guess. I'm just going to say that, you know what? You can find a 2 liter on sale for 99 cents somewhere.
Right.
I think you can.
You can.
And I think my entire adult life, I've been able to find it for 99 cents somewhere.
How about now?
I think so. I actually do think so. Sure. Go find a coupon. I'm not exactly sure. But I would tell you that there are some things that in the last 10, 20, or 30 years, the prices really haven't gone up that much. I don't have specific details of what something cost in 1972 or 1995 or last week, but there are some things that just have not really gone up in price in my, in my visual eyes understanding it. And I would just say, again, you can find a 2 liter of pop with a coupon for
Right.
99 cents.
Okay.
There are other things, though, that are very much doubled, tripled, or quadrupled in price. And that would be, homes, cars,
Right.
a lot of other things. So in the last year, we've said inflation is now 5.4%, right? Well, in the last year over year, rental cars are up 42.9%. So I wouldn't go rent a car for anybody for the holidays.
Right.
Okay. I would be very aware of renting cars, and maybe I'd take the bus, public transportation, get yourself on a bike. It's
Maybe
more,
just walk.
It's more healthy and it's going to save you some money. Healthy, wealthy, and wise. Maybe there you go. Gasoline is up 42.1. Again, if something was $2 and now it's $3, that's a 50% increase. So the national average for gasoline has gone up 42.1% year over year. And that's a lot of money. That's a serious deal.
It is, especially if you're going to go on a road trip.
100%.
Right?
And yes, absolutely. Used vehicles are up 24.4%. And again, a lot of that has to do with the fact that there are shortages of new cars.
Right.
And so people are then looking to get used cars. And so if it's supply and demand.
Supply and demand,
and
right?
There you go. Prices go up. Hey, that's called inflation. Here we go again. Hotel rooms and appliances have also gone up more significantly than some of the other categories out there. So those are just some broad things that have gone up quite a bit in cost. Lower than average inflation, you have food at restaurants, food at home, recreation, clothing, IT, hardware services, personal care, education, college tuition, etc. And so there are some things that, depending on where you are in the country or where it is you are, purchasing your items, you may not actually have seen that much inflation. And the two that stand out to me, Brooke, this is pretty impressive, really. One is some college tuition.
Yeah.
Some educational costs have come down because a lot of people have a gap year. A lot of people have said, I don't even need education. I'm from the streets. I go from the school of hard knocks.
Right.
School of hard knocks. So and that's serious. So guess what? If supply and demand, if there's less demand, then the prices got to come down a little bit. So education at some qualifying schools have actually come down in price year over year, so that's called deflation. So maybe that's a good time to give someone the gift of education. Give them a year of school. Give them a MET or a MESP.
Right.
Give them some kind of education. It's a good investment for everybody, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Some prescription drugs have actually come down in price, and the category is minus 1.6. So this is where I also say, maybe there's fake news. I don't know what's fake news and real news all the time, but again, I know when I get my prescription drugs, they're not 1.6% cheaper.
Right.
They're costing me more, but maybe I've got crazy drugs and don't do drugs, and I don't actually have any drugs, so we're okay. Anyway, but so prescription drugs are actually minus 1.6 according to the federal data, and
I think a lot of people would disagree with that.
I think they may. So that's what it is. But let's get on point now. So that is kind of the color to inflation by categories of things. And we're going to talk about 11, 10 plus a bonus, things you can do to beat inflation as you shop or maneuver through the holidays. Okay?
Yes.
The very first one is start now.
Like right now. Give me your phone and start shopping.
Yes, get a plan. Well,
Right.
Yes, get a plan. And if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So figure it out. Yes, get going. If you're doing shopping for the holidays, get going. If you do it last minute, guess what? Prices are up, probably, or your supply is limited and things are sold out.
Anything.
Right? So that's number one is very easy. Just start your shopping now.
I think number 2 is hard.
What's number 2?
Set a limit for people and stick to it.
Set a limit for people and stick with it. Why is that so tough?
I don't know. You see something, you have a list, and you think, oh, they'll love that. It's not on my list. I'll go ahead and buy it.
Fair enough. I think you need to be a little bit more of a disciplinarian, and but absolutely stick to limits. Have a budget, right? So let's be responsible in a period of time when things cost more. Spend less. Have a limit.
Right.
Fair enough. Number 2, pretty simple. Just like you said, it is hard to do.
It is hard.
Yeah. Number 3 is make a list and check it twice before buying.
Cross people off.
Sounds like the holiday.
Yeah.
That's the little holiday.
That's like the naughty
Rachel
or nice
threw that
list.
in there. Good job, Rachel. Make a list and check it twice. That's for who's naughty and nice.
Right.
And then do that before you buy, so you can understand again. And that goes back to number 1 and number 2. Figure out who you're buying for, and then make a limit.
Okay, I'm really good at number 4. I have to tell you.
Scope out the sales. What does that mean?
I mean, I'm very good at finding sales and using coupons and, saving my, can I say a store name? Kohl's Cash.
Yeah,
or
scope
Old Navy
out
or,
the sales.
Whatever
number
it
4.
is, right? I mean, you just plan ahead for that.
Sure. Number 4 is scope out the sales. So absolutely, I think
you are getting a discount.
I mean, that goes back to Black Friday,
right?
Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday, or as you said, just collect your Kohl's Cash and I don't know,
start spending it.
Have a strategy for sure. So yes, don't pay retail. Go find something on sale.
Get a deal.
Yes. Number 5, comparison shop. Kind of similar, but
It
different.
is, yeah.
I mean, you find 2 that are the same. Find out which one's got a lower price. Where at? Right? If you have 2 things that are the same and one's cheaper somewhere else, go buy it at the cheaper place. I always use, for an example, for this one, comparison shop. It doesn't have to do with buying things for the holidays, but if you see 2 gas stations on a corner,
right,
and one's got gas that's 10 cents more expensive, I never understand why people are over there buying their gas. They're paying 10 cents more a gallon.
It's very interesting because they're right across the street. I think a lot of it has to do with what side their gas tank is on. Honestly.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
Fair enough. I don't have the answer. I just noticed it. Why are they over there paying 10 cents more per gallon than me? And I think I'm a smart guy, but there's probably something I'm missing out. Maybe they have a coupon, or maybe there's some kind of special deal.
Maybe they're a rewards member.
Maybe, absolutely. But yes, comparison shop. So again, I guess the overarching theme so far is take your time, except for start now.
Except for right now, right?
Start now and then make sure you have a plan, I guess.
Okay.
And then number 6, determine where you will splurge and where you will save. Okay. Sounds kind of like some of the other ones in the group of you just need to do your work, evaluate, and decide if you're going to stick to that price per person, or maybe one person gets above the limit and one
maybe
gets
nobody
below
gets
it.
anything.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's very important. So again, decide ahead of time where you will splurge. Maybe it's worth it again for food. So again, this is just not for
the holidays,
for the gifts that you wrap up. This
Right.
might be for the food that you're going to serve. This might be for the clothes that you need to buy for the holiday season. So again, you just need to really pay attention and just don't start buying stuff and scooping
in
it
a
up.
frenzy, right?
In a frenzy, you got it. This number 7, I know, came from you because we talked the other day, and I'm like, that makes a lot of sense to me,
Yep.
Brooke. I appreciate this.
Exactly. The supply chain issues, prices, inflation, like everything we've talked about. Gift cards seem to be a good bet this year.
You know, you just said it very eloquently and very economic strategistly.
Oh, you're
And I
teaching
was
me.
just going to say it's easier. Get the gift cards. They're just a lot easier. You don't have to worry about.
You have to wrap them.
You can get to the limit because I'm giving you $25.
Right, for sure.
You don't have to worry about comparison shopping. I'm giving you $25. So again, you say that it's very strategic.
Right.
Supply chain issues.
Just avoiding issues.
Hey, I'm with you. It's number 7. Use gift cards.
Right.
Absolutely, for sure. Number 8 is what?
Track your purchases.
Track your purchases.
I'm bad at this.
I'm not a spreadsheet guy either, but get some kind of some system in place.
Mm-hmm.
Track your purchases. Understand and maybe see how much you spent this year versus last year versus next year, or just understand and make sure that if you are buying packages online that they arrive. Make sure you're getting your money's worth. How
And
about
it's the
that?
right product too, I think, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We've been hearing a lot about that.
Absolutely. And number 9.
Oh, yeah. Plan for shipping.
It says don't forget to plan for shipping, and that's the cost of shipping. And guess
Right.
what? Taxes too. Don't forget to add in the tax. And you know what? A lot of things now they have a tip line, and I feel pressure, Brooke. This is a sidebar. I feel pressure to put a little tip. I mean, it's like when I'm getting takeout at a restaurant, I have no problem adding the gratuity. I don't know where a good example is, but if I'm anywhere else, maybe buying a sweater at a store.
Right.
It says, "Would you like to add a tip?"
Really?
And I'm like, "Really? Oh, okay, I guess I
Then
should."
you feel kind of pressured, right?
For sure, and I do. I support local economy 100%.
Of
So
course.
I do, but I take a second to evaluate. Okay.
I do too.
And again, we appreciate all those efforts of those men and women. So for sure. But besides the item, make sure you plan for what it costs to ship it, and also any taxes and any other costs associated with that purchase.
Right, because if you even have it packed, right, and ship it somewhere else, then that's a whole nother cost, and that can really add up.
100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. And these are pennies into dollars. Just add it up. Everything is inflationary. Every purchase, I'm challenging everyone out there watching and listening this year, add up everything that you're purchasing. And I challenge you to contact me if your total per item balance is lower than last year. Tell me some items that cost less than last year, and tell me that you spent less than last year, and tell me, because again, you're going to be in the minority, and I would love to hear your story and understand how you're able to navigate, because things are going to cost so much more this year. We're giving you 5 weeks until the end of the year to get it done and prepare. So that was number 9.
Number 10, and this has kind of changed during COVID, right?
It has actually. This is a great one. So everyone listen up. Number 10, use cash when possible to limit your credit card spending. Everywhere I go, it says we don't take cash anymore.
Right.
It says we don't give change.
Yeah.
You better have a credit card or a debit card, or you better have Apple Pay, or
Better have something.
you better have something. So I've got beads. I've got gold shillings. I've got autographed photos
Right.
from celebrities. I'm trying to barter.
I was going to say, you're like negotiating.
Yeah, and they're like, "Come on, seriously." But no, so officially use cash, because then you're not going to have any interest payments if you use your credit card, and so that's simple.
But it's not.
But it's not. So maybe you go get one of those debit cash cards, not your debit card, but I don't know, just go get a card that has $100.
Buy that outright and then use that.
Back to number 7. Go get a $100 Visa check card and have at it. That's the top 10. Are we done?
Not yet.
Oh, no.
This is one of my favorites, and it's kind of hilarious.
Yes, because we always do 11 around here. Why be a perfect 10 when you can be a perfect
11.
what do we do 11?
Right.
And so the bonus this year is get and give gift receipts. Get and give gift receipts. Okay. This is seriously a big deal.
It is, but it made me laugh originally because I was like, that's weird.
But it's so true because this is a friendly reminder for everyone out there who shops fast and then you don't get the gift receipt and you give the gift and they don't even want it. It's the wrong size. Yeah. It is what it is. And then they're not going to return it because you know why? And this is to the point. They return it and they say, oh, do you have the receipt? And you're like, I'm sorry, I don't. Oh, well, that's on clearance now, so we can't give you.
So here's your $5 merchandise card, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's important. Your inflation, hello, and being responsible with your spending habits, hello. And on top of it, yes, if you have your receipts and things go on sale after the holidays, even if it's something you got for yourself, you can take it to the store and they will honor the price adjustment. And if they don't, then you can actually go to the front of the line and then exchange it or return it and then go back to the back and buy a new one and say, ha ha ha. If you're not going to do the adjustment, I'm just going to do more returning and buying. But
that's a lot.
Yes, but this is about money management. And so do it. Do the work. Take it serious and you'll be better served. And we will see what happens with inflation long term. But for now, it's here and it is an ugly monster.
Okay, well, at least hopefully with the holidays coming and everything else that we've helped some people get a grip and an idea of what needs to be done and what shouldn't be done.
Absolutely. And as we say all the time, yes. Brooke, but around the holidays, we encourage everyone to be radically generous, be nice to your neighbor. This is the holidays. Again, count your blessings, be thankful. Along that, we always say, live your best life. And Brooke, it was great to see you today.
You too.
Thank you. This is What Do We Do? Season 2, Episode 6. Number 48
Amazing.
Total. This is awesome.
Right.
And as we always say, episode 48, and we're just getting started.
Yeah.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or any specific security. It's only intended to provide education about the financial industry. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Any indices referenced for comparison are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. As always, please remember investing involves risks and possible loss of principal capital. Please seek advice from a licensed professional.